Have you ever woken up at 2:30 in the morning totally awake? No alarm, no noise outside, just you awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, wondering if your brain hates you. Most of us call this insomnia, but a few hundred years ago, nobody would have panic at all. Back then, this exact moment you're thinking of, had a name. It was called the watch, or the waking hour between something people referred to so casually that it appeared in letters, court records, prayer books, even diary entries. They called it first sleep and second sleep. That's right, people used to literally sleep twice every night. And tonight, we're going to explore how that rhythm shaped entire cultures, why it suddenly disappeared, and why so many of us still feel echoes of it in our bodies today, especially during the cold, quiet nights of the year's end. Welcome to Night 2. Hello, Curious Minds, and welcome back to the Little Weird Podcast. I'm Shane, your curator and host, and you're listening to our special year-ender journey, 12 Weird Nights, a collection of stories exploring the curious, the forgotten, and the beautifully strange moments that glow in the hush of December. Last episode, on night 1, we look up at the night sky, at falling stars, wishes, and the ancient Filipino firebird, the bulalakaw. Tonight, we're turning our attention inward, into the quiet of our own rooms, into the long, dark hours of the night, because for centuries, humans didn't greet the night in one long stretch of sleep the way we do today. They lived their nights in two acts. This was normal, expected, even healthy. And the deeper you go into the history of it, the more you begin to wonder, what if your 2 a.m. wake ups aren't a flaw, but a leftover rhythm from a world that understood rest very differently? On night 2 of our mini series, we explore the forgotten tradition of segmented sleep, the rituals people once practiced in the stillness between sleeps, and the incredible story of how industrial life, not biology, erased that rhythm from history. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's drift into the strange, quiet world of a night that wasn't one, but two. Before electricity, before alarms, before our modern obsession with sleep hygiene, the human night looked very different from the one we know today. Across Europe, early America, and likely many other parts of the world, people didn't sleep in one long stretch. Instead, they lived by a rhythm so normal it appeared everywhere in diaries, prayer books, medical advice, and even court testimonies. They called it first sleep and second sleep. Night would fall earlier, especially in winter and without the glow of screens or streetlights. People naturally drifted to bed not long after sunset. Their bodies followed a simple pattern: 3 to 4 hours of sleep, rest. This is the first sleep. And then 1 to 2 hours awake. This is what they call the watch. And then another 3 to 4 hours of sleep. This would be the second sleep. This wakeful period wasn't a restless interruption. It was an expected, peaceful pause woven into the structure of the night. So let's talk about the watch, which is the forgotten hour. During this midnight intermission, people were lying in bed frustrated or anxious. They used the time to pray, to journal, to read or mend clothes, to whisper with family, to tend fires or check on animals, to visit neighbors quietly, or simply sit with their thoughts. Some historical records even describe this window as an ideal time for intimacy, a moment when the body was relaxed, warm, and comfortable. Imagine a village in the 1600s, scattered candlelight glowing through wooden windows at 1 a.m. Not because people were wrestling with insomnia, but because this was their normal rhythm. Modern sleep experiments show that when people live without artificial light for long evenings, many naturally recreate this pattern. Early sleep, a gentle midnight waking, then a return to slumber. No instructions, no historical context, their bodies simply remembered. Which means your 2 a.m. wake ups might not always be a malfunction. They might be a leftover echo, a biological memory of a night once lived in two chapters. But if this rhythm was so natural, Then why did it disappear? How did sleep pattern that lasted for centuries vanish in just a few generations? To answer that, we have to look at what happened when the world discovered light. For thousands of years, humans slept in two chapters, and then almost suddenly, the second chapter vanished. Not because our bodies changed, but because our world did. Before electricity, night was truly night, deep, dark, and long. But when gas lamps spread through cities in the 1700s, followed by electric lighting in the 1800s and 1900s, everything shifted. People stayed awake longer, shops extended their hours, homes glowed past sunset, evenings became social. Suddenly, bedtime wasn't tied to darkness anymore. It was tied to choice. And when bedtime got later, the window between first and second sleep began to shrink. Before long, it disappeared entirely. The Industrial Revolution didn't just create machines, it created schedules. Rigid shifts, early mornings, standardized 8 to 10-hour workdays, commutes, time production cycles. There was no place for the watch in this new world, no space for a quiet hour at midnight. People were expected to get one long block of sleep, wake on time, and show up ready to work. And slowly, the language of first sleep and second sleep faded out of the conversation. What was once the norm became forgotten. In pre industrial life, waking up around midnight was normal, expected, and healthy. But when society switched to monophasic sleep, this same natural wakefulness began to feel strange. People no longer saw it as a peaceful break, they saw it as a problem. Doctors began reframing night wakefulness as disrupted sleep, poor rest, or the terms is still used today, insomnia. The exact same biological rhythm was relabeled as a disorder. Many experts believe that some forms of middle of the night insomnia might not be insomnia at all, but a biological echo of the old world's two sleep pattern. A leftover rhythm from before electricity, before productivity culture, before alarms and shift work. Your body might simply be following an ancient blueprint. Sleep early, wake gently around midnight, then drift back to sleep. It's not always failure. It might be a memory of a world where night had two acts. Did you know that historical documents show that waking up at midnight was so normal? People didn't even comment on it. It was like mentioning breakfast, unremarkable, everyday, and expected. It only became a problem once society decided it was supposed to be a problem. Even though most industrialized societies switched to one long block of sleep, the human body didn't forget, and many cultures didn't forget either. Because while segmented night sleep faded away in the West, another form of biphasic sleep remained strong, the siesta. So, what is a siesta really? To many of us, the siesta sounds like a cute cultural quirk, a midday nap, a charming tradition, a lifestyle perk. But in places like Spain, Mexico, Argentina, Greece, Italy, and parts of the Middle East, the siesta is not a quirky custom, it is an institution. A rhythm as natural as eating or breathing, a pattern supported by biology, climate, work structure, and thousands of years of human adaptation. And here's the twist. Researchers say that siesta is simply another version of biphasic sleep, not first plus second sleep at night, but one big sleep at night plus a midday rest. The same system adapted to a different environment. Inside us, there is a natural deep in alertness in the early afternoon. This is not laziness, not weakness, not low productivity. It is biology. Even in Western office settings, where no one would dare nap at 2 p.m., researchers found that alertness, focus, and memory sharply declined during this period, a leftover circadian rhythm that thousands of years of human evolution encoded into us. Cultures with siestas didn't fight this dip, they honored it. They built daily life around it. So let's talk about the types of naps. Researchers categorize naps into three general types. First is the 10 to 20 minutes. This is the classic power nap. It boosts energy, alertness, and mood without grogginess. And the second one is around 30 minutes. This is a sweet spot for improved focus, but you might feel slightly groggy afterward. And the third one is the 60 to 90 minutes. This is a full sleep cycle, great for memory and creativity, but can interfere with night sleep if poorly timed. Many Shasta cultures hover between 20 to 60 minutes depending on lifestyle. But here's the important distinction. True biphasic sleep, whether ancient segmented nights or modern Shastas, still gives the body 7 to 9 hours total in a 24-hour cycle. It's not about sleeping less, it's about sleeping differently. And in a way, the world still sleeps twice, even if many of us no longer have a watch between first and second sleep, a dimly lit house at midnight, or early night shaped by candlelight. The Shasta proves that the two sleep rhythm never really died. It simply transformed. Human sleep has always bent itself to climate, light, culture, work, and the natural pull of our internal clock. Biphasic sleep is not a flaw. It's one of humanity's oldest survival tools, and in many places, it still thrives, alive and beating in the warm, quiet afternoon nap. Now that we've talked about healthy, natural forms of two sleep rhythms, let's wander briefly into the stranger corner of the internet, a corner where people proudly claim, I sleep 2 hours a day, I nap 6 times instead of sleeping at night, and who needs REM when you have hassle? Welcome to the world of extreme polyphasic sleep schedules. Not biphasic, not Shastas, but the much hype, sometimes in famous patterns like Uberman, Dimaction, Everyman, and other sleep hacking routines. These schedules chop sleep into tiny pieces scattered across the day with the goal of dramatically reducing total sleep time. And on paper, it sounds almost magical. More waking hours, more productivity, more time to work on your dreams. Who wouldn't want that? But let's take a closer look. What extreme polyphasic sleep actually looks like. Some of the most extreme schedules involve 6 naps of 20 to 30 minutes each, totaling only to 2 to 3 hours of sleep in 24 hours. Others spread out 30 to 45-minute naps throughout the day. At first, some people do feel alert, often because the body enters REM sleep very quickly when deprived. This is not sustainable, not healthy, and not recommended. So why it fails? According to science and not TikTok. Extreme polyphasic sleep increases the risk of mood swings, brain fog, slower reaction time, impaired judgment, memory issues, weakened immunity, metabolic problems, poor emotional regulation, and higher accident risk, especially while driving. Humans can tolerate broken sleep, but humans cannot thrive on severely reduced sleep. Here's the key distinction. Biphasic is not equal to sleep deprivation. Segmented sleep and Shastas still give the body 7 to 9 hours total sleep, normal cycles, full REM and slow wave sleep, stable circadian rhythm. Extreme polyphasic schedules give the body 2 to 4 hours total sleep, fragmented cycles, inconsistent REM, metabolic stress, cognitive impairment. These aren't cousins. They're not even distant relatives. They're entirely different worlds. But why do some people think it works? Certainly, people believe they function well on these schedules. The first few days feel euphoric. Sleep deprivation can mimic a high. People mistake adrenaline for productivity. The novelty makes them feel optimized. But performance quietly declines, often so slowly they don't see it until it becomes severe. And ironically, the thing these schedules try to solve, fatigue, only gets worse. So, what's the real takeaway here? The human body can adapt to when you sleep. It cannot adapt to not sleeping. Biphasic sleep is ancient. Segmented sleep is biological. Shastas are cultural. But extreme polyphasic sleep, that one is mostly marketing. A fascinating experiment for some people, sure, but not a sustainable pattern for a healthy mind or a healthy life. For years, I struggled with insomnia, the kind that makes you try every trick in the book. I experimented with sleep techniques, food, herbal remedies, routines, even medication. Some worked for a while, most didn't. My brain has always been too awake, especially when the world is finally quiet. On most nights, I either couldn't fall asleep at all, or I'd wake up in the middle of the night, alert, restless, and unable to return to sleep no matter how tired I was. At first, it terrified me. You feel the impact of a bad night immediately. The fog, the irritability, the physical heaviness, and because everyone else seemed to sleep so easily, I assumed something was wrong with me, like my body just didn't come with the same settings as everyone else's. But over time, I learned to stop fighting it. I accepted that maybe my rhythms were simply wired differently. And now, after learning about the old practice of segmented sleep, I can't help but wonder, maybe my body wasn't malfunctioning. Maybe it was remembering. It made me ask myself, what if some of my night awakenings weren't insomnia at all, but biological echoes, leftover patterns from the way humans slept for hundreds of years? Of course, I can't say for sure whether pre-colonial Filipinos also live by first and second sleep. My quick research didn't lead me to anything conclusive. But we do have Shasta culture here, especially in rural areas and older generations. And even though Shastas don't work for me because I find it impossible to nap in hot afternoon, it shows that our idea of normal sleep was never just one thing. Sleep has always adapted to where we live, how we live, and what our bodies need. And honestly, when I think about how our ancestors slept, I also imagine the discomfort they faced. Hard wooden beds or woven mats, unpredictable temperatures, insects, animals, and every threat that could interrupt them at night. You have soft pillows, electric fans, air conditioning, things they probably would have considered luxuries. Yet their sleep was likely more fragmented, more vulnerable, more in tune with nature's harshness. It just shows how much normal changes across space and time. Waking up at midnight used to be ordinary, even expected. Today, we immediately assume something must be wrong with our health, or we accidentally scare ourselves by remembering the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose and wake up at 3 a.m. and smell something weird. But the truth is, however we sleep, in one stretch, in two chapters, with naps or without, sleep remains one of the quiet wonders of being human. A biological mystery we still don't fully understand, yet rely on with our whole existence. And wherever you are right now, listening to this episode, I genuinely hope you sleep well tonight in whatever rhythm your body chooses. As we wrap up tonight's episode, I want to leave you with a small question. If you were given a peaceful hour in the middle of the night, no pressure, no panic, no noise, just a soft pause between one sleep and the next, how would you choose to spend it? Would you rest? Would you think? Would you dream? Would you listen to the dark? Or would you simply breathe and allow that moment to exist? Whatever your answer may be, I hope this episode helps you see the night differently, not as a problem to solve, but as a rhythm with a history, a story, and a memory of the world we came from. Thank you for joining me tonight on night 2 of 12 Weird Nights. If this episode resonated with you, or if you have your own 3 a.m. stories you want to share, come say hi on Instagram. You can also support the show on Coffee. Links are in the show notes. And as always, stay curious, stay awake in wonder, and I'll see you on the next night.